I also forgot I have another guest. I invited Chris Peters back there, who's taking photos. He is with the Stillwegian. If any of y'all don't know about our new local news platform, I encourage you to talk to Chris after. Also, I want to apologize to this table in particular for any jokes I ever made about you being old. Because I feel like if you fall and break both arms, that's old status. I can't say I'm young anymore. So I'm so sorry. I feel like that may have been karma, maybe. I don't know. Well, I'm honored today to introduce our two speakers who I've had the pleasure of getting to know very well. Justice John Kane was appointed to the Oklahoma Supreme Court by Governor Kevin Stitt and has served as both Chief Justice and Vice Chief Justice. A Pawhuska native, he earned his undergraduate degree from Oklahoma State University, named one of top 10 men of his class, and his law degree from the University of Oklahoma. A fourth-generation Oklahoma attorney, Kane practiced law with his father and grandfather in Pawhuska. He served as a part-time assistant district attorney, an administrative law judge for child support enforcement, and later as a district judge for Osage County, where he created the county's first drug court. He also held leadership roles as presiding judge of the Northeast Oklahoma Judicial Administrative District and president of the Oklahoma Judicial Conference. His great-grandfather, Chief Justice Matthew John Kane I, served on Oklahoma's very first Supreme Court and was a delegate to the Constitutional Convention. Justice Kane's wife, Cindy, is an author and entrepreneur. They have 4 adult children. And then Vice Chief Justice Dana Keene was appointed to the Oklahoma Supreme Court by Governor Kevin Stitt in 2021, making history as the first woman to serve on both of Oklahoma's courts of last resort. She previously served as the presiding judge of the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals, appointed in 2017 by Governor Mary Fallin. A Tulsa native and proud Oklahoma State University alumna, Justice Keene was a top 10 graduate of the OSU College of Arts and Sciences and a member of the OSU Spirit Squad. She earned her law degree from the University of Tulsa. She spent a decade as a felony prosecutor in Tulsa, leading the Crimes Against Children unit, and later served as a child trial judge for 13 years, including roles as associate district judge and chief of the civil division. Justice Keene serves on the Board of Trustees for the University of Tulsa and is currently pursuing a graduate certificate from OSU focusing on hidden populations. She is a mother of 4 sons, including one who is currently a junior at OSU. Vice Chief Justice Dana Keene. I will invite the two of you up to start your presentation.
All right, are you ready, Kane?
I think I'm live. I think I got my mic turned on.
We were worried we weren't going to get the PowerPoint up and running, but where is he? Our yes, our superstar tech guy. Thank you, sir, so much. Okay. We're gonna do kind of a mixture. And Kara pointed out, we know you guys like trivia. We just went through that, so we have a couple of quiz questions for you while we go through talking about what we're going to talk about today. John, before we get started on this, do you have anything to add before we get started?
No, I'm just raring at the bit.
Okay. Question number 1. What is the federal constitution? The supreme law of the land, the law of the land for officials, a document that can be interpreted in any way to further a political agenda. I think we're in a good room because everybody laughed. Or declared our independence from Great Britain. Okay, so everybody think of what you think it would be. Okay, let's see. Yes, very good. The supreme law of the land for everyone. Hopefully everyone got that one correct. So what Justice Kane and I are here to talk about is something I'm pretty passionate about that a lot of people don't know or have never read. It's a really long document, and we can blame his great-grandfather for that, is that we have also an Oklahoma Constitution. How many of us have thought about that or read that we have 2? Very good. Oh, man, overachievers in the back. I love it. You've read the whole thing? Kind of. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually the longest in the nation at the time it was written. Now, there's been some of the other states got jealous, and I think Alabama and Texas and a couple of states have tried to beef theirs up. But when it was written at statehood in 1907, it was the longest.
Yes. So how do these two things fit together? And do they fit together? Well, the supreme law in Oklahoma is the Oklahoma Constitution. But if a provision of law is not, by the way, in the United States Constitution, so you know, it's called the 10th Amendment. It says, hey, if this isn't in the Constitution, the states can regulate themselves in any way. Okay? So it's an open-ended clause. The 10th Amendment is very important. In other words, it says if there's not something specifically written in the federal Constitution, the states can do whatever they want. Okay? In relation. But, of course, then we have this little asterisk.
Asterisk, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't conflict with the federal law.
So you can't conflict with federal law. And that's where it can get a little bit confusing. But what everybody needs to understand is those documents, I think, work together. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, in Oklahoma, the Constitution, how are they the same? They create this 3 branches of government, just like our federal Constitution, of course, legislative, executive, and judicial. And Justice Kane, maybe you can talk about this. A lot of people don't know. We have a very interesting other judicial branch, kind of, in our Oklahoma Constitution, and it's the Court on the Judiciary. You want to tell them what that does?
Yeah, the court on the judiciary they're the judges that judge the judges. I know that's not in my resume, but I was the presiding judge on the court on the judiciary for a time when I was a trial judge, and when I was the chief justice, a lot of times it was the things that I did for disciplining judges that were out of line tended to grab some of the bigger headlines, unfortunately, that I had. But it's a crucial function that we have to have because the office of the judiciary is a sacred trust, and so we need to guard it.
Yeah. A lot of people aren't aware that we have that, so I thought that was interesting. So the Oklahoma Supreme Court was created by our founders, and it is in Article 7 of our Constitution. That's our current court. Our Chief Justice there in the blue socks, which I'm going to give him a hard time about.
Well, the vice chief seems to be resplendent, though.
Yeah. Did y'all see? I got my orange on. And he actually was irritated with me about that. But I said, I don't care. I'm wearing OSU orange. So, but yes, he's actually from Tishomingo. We're all from different parts of the state. I'm Tulsa, Creek, that kind of area. Kane?
I'm Osage County, Pawhuska.
Yeah, so it's broken down by the 5 congressional districts, and then 4 justices serve at large. Now, what's interesting to know is that does not mean we represent that district. That means I just had to be an elector from that district when I was appointed, because if you're on the Supreme Court, you decide you're doing cases for the whole state. I don't, quote, represent what Tulsa wants me to decide on a case. Does that make sense? So that can be confusing, but each of us is from a different area of the state, gives us different perspectives, which I think is great. Our chief is from Tishomingo. He was the youngest mayor ever elected there at the age of 18.
That's right.
And also ran for Congress against Mark Wayne Mullen and lost, but they're really good friends. So he's a really great guy. We're surrounded by great colleagues. And, of course, we have to talk about this. John?
Yes, there's our Cowboys on the court.
Yeah.
Our newest member, Travis Jett, is from Woodward, and he is, while he was at OSU, he was actually the national president of the FFA, and I think the whole state is happy that we have him as a new colleague.
Yeah. He has a sign in Slap Out. We found the chief drove through there the other day and took a picture. It said home of Travis Jett, national FFA president. So we think he's pretty important. But if you can tell, I'm glad that our deans are here. I'm so honored. So arts and sciences is represented, of course, and agriculture. And I wanted to say to our 2 students over here, you're in business college, one of you? Okay, and what college are you in? College of Arts and Sciences. That's wonderful. So something that's really important and to support is young people that are wanting to get into the legal profession. I would promote, hopefully, if you're from a small town, that you do what John Kane did. He went home, right, and you practiced law in Pawhuska.
I became the junior partner in Kane, Kane & Kane, yes.
That's right. And we do actually have a legal drought in the state of Oklahoma. So I think it's important to support students that have a vision to go to law school. I wish OSU had a version of that so people don't have to go to OU. I wouldn't do it. I went to TU. I'm just saying. But yes, if either of you want, we would love, I know John and I would love to get your numbers and have you up to the court, maybe have coffee sometimes and just answer any questions you have. We'd love to help support your endeavor to become this great profession. Okay, next quiz. What are our inalienable rights under our First Amendment of the federal Constitution? These have come into play a lot lately with the Supreme Court term. The First Amendment had a lot of play. Anybody want to say if they think it's just one of those things or all of the above? This is a smart crew.
No, we got them.
And here's a good acronym, RAPS. But yes, these are all the things that you are protected under your First Amendment rights under the federal Constitution. Okay,
Oh, that's beautiful.
I wonder who took that. What you guys don't know is John Kane is multi-talented in many ways. He is an amazing gentleman, but he is a wonderful photographer. I actually own 3 Kane originals, and this is one of his. Where was is this one Big Boy?
That was at the Tallgrass Prairie Preserve. Ansel Adams, a famous photographer, he said that the real key to photography is being at the right place at the right time with the camera. So I was at the right place at the right time.
You always are. I have some really, really great ones, but okay. But let's talk about what rights are under the Oklahoma Constitution. Now, the federal Constitution gets a lot of play, but what's most important is all political power is inherent in the people. All persons have the inherent right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and the enjoyment of gains of their own industry. These provisions are not in the federal Constitution. They're in the Oklahoma Constitution. Control over powerful companies taking advantage of consumers. Victims' rights have been added recently, as well as rights to health care. Those things are not in the federal Constitution. They're in the state of Oklahoma Constitution. So how do we do that, John? We're on the Supreme Court, and we have both these constitutions we're looking at. Do we just look at the federal Constitution, or how do we do it when we have different rights that are in the Oklahoma Constitution?
Well, the Constitution is the document that's there to protect the citizens from the government. They don't, especially Oklahoma was a very populous state when the Constitution was formed, and so they have a very long Constitution because they had a very short trust of the government. So they wanted to have a very detailed enumeration of what your rights as a citizen are. So the federal Constitution protects our rights as United States citizens. The Oklahoma Constitution has the ability to protect our rights further if we wish to.
Right. Remember that 10th Amendment we were talking about. But even outside the 10th Amendment, if we want to make a federal right even stronger, that is a possibility. You can't go under the floor, but you can always go above. Okay. What can you do if you would like to change something about the United States Constitution? Nothing. Amend it, make a new one, or vote all current government officials out of office.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think fans of the Who will say make a new Constitution.
Yeah, Who fans make a new Constitution, said John. Okay, there's George. But what can you do? Well, you can amend the Constitution. By constitutional convention, you could be approved by 2/3 of the state legislators or passed by 2/3 of Congress and the Senate, and then ratified 3850 of the states. This can be done. Think of this. The Bill of Rights, the first 10, there have been 17 more amendments to the federal Constitution. So it can be done. It hasn't been done in a while, but it obviously is very difficult to do. Right? But it can be done. What about our Oklahoma Constitution, though, John? Yeah. Oh, wait. Hold on. I got to tell them about the last one. Sorry. We'll flip through the slide real quick. I just thought this could be good trivia for people that aren't here. You can ask them next time and be like, if you were here, you would know the answer. But the 27th Amendment actually was started with the first United States Congress. And it was not approved until May 7th of 1992. that enough states ratified it. Can anyone guess what that was about or know what the 27th Amendment is? What? There you go. Yes, sir. It took 202 years, 7 months, and 12 days to talk about paying congressmen. That's correct. What their pay was going to be. The 21st Amendment is the only amendment by states calling for a constitutional convention, and that was to end, of course, prohibition. It's kind of interesting. Okay, sorry about that. What about our Oklahoma Constitution, Justice Kane?
Yeah, actually, I think our PowerPoint's going to say over 150 times we have, but and I think we've actually gone over 200 now. I think we're up to 205. Yeah.
And why is it so, quote, easier than the federal way?
Well, the power, all power of the government is vested in the people, and so we can vote as a people to amend our Constitution.
Which is very rare. Not a lot of states have that provision called an initiative petition or a referendum. But, this table could get together and decide that they want to make something added to the Constitution. They have to go through a whole process to get signatures and put it on the ballot and then vote it upon. But people can make not only constitutional amendments, but they can ask for statutory language as well, which to me is just crazy. We just had the minimum wage case that did that, where it's actually a statute about minimum wage. It's not a constitutional amendment, but it will be going to the vote of the people, and it's just a statute. Can anyone tell me why I think it's strange you have a statute or a constitutional amendment? We were talking about how maybe difficult it is to change a constitution, even in our ratification method. But what about a statute? How's a statute born? Right. So what's going to happen if we vote in something in a statute? Oh, yes. They could go in and vote it differently. So just very interesting that we have that process here in Oklahoma. And I love it. I put this in. I'm glad Kara mentioned it. Look at their twins. Who is that?
Well, that's great granddad. Yeah, I think they took that picture when he went. He actually there wasn't an OU or a TU or an OCU law school when he wanted to study the law. He had to go out of state, so he went to Georgetown to go to law school, and he went back as an alum. So I think they dressed him up all nice to hope that maybe he'd, remember them fondly. But that was, I think, when he went back to Georgetown. But that's my great-granddad, and he was the first on the first court.
Yes. We already talked about how long it was. It took a year, 8 months, and 2 weeks to draft our Constitution, and now you guys can see. I just think it's fascinating, and he won't probably say it, but if you go to the Capitol, if you walk in, which interest would that be? The North?
Well, it's...
I put you on the spot. It's like asking when your anniversary is.
Yeah. No, I think it'd be the South.
Okay. If they have etched in the marble a quote by his great-grandfather who dedicated or opened
in 1917.
The Capitol. Pretty cool. Okay. We did become a state on November 16th of 1907. I found some old cartoons about it. It's kind of funny.
Is that supposed to be Alfalfa Bill?
Yes, that's Alfalfa Bill, and the president is, quote, disgusted with our Constitution. So he waited a really long time to sign it, but finally did. He was trying to get a stronger Republican Party in place before that could happen, but that did not happen. Real quick, I want to make sure we have lots of times for questions. I can skip through this part. Might be kind of boring. You guys are like, nope. Okay, John, why don't you talk about this? I think this is our last slide before we can take some questions.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it so long?
Yeah, this kind of loops back to what I said earlier, that we were very populist and agricultural focused, and we didn't want the government meddling in our business. And you see that a lot in agrarian communities where they don't ask much of the government. They don't want much from the government, and so the Constitution was designed to, you stay in your lane and I'll stay in my lane, and we'll get along just fine.
Yes. What's interesting too is when St. Isidore, which was the Catholic school charter case, when I was doing my research for that, I read through the convention minutes. You can do that. It's long, and you can't search through, like do a find because of the way they're saved. But a majority of the time of what they were talking about was big corporations and railroads. They were like very concerned about those two things taking over. And they were very mad about the federal government and talking to them about what's called the Enabling Act. And if you all don't know what the Enabling Act is, it was a way for the federal government to say, the only way we're going to sign your constitution is if you put these specific provisions in your state constitution. And they were very angry about that. In fact, one gentleman at one point was talking about how he's going to take the big stick and show the president his own big stick because they were so mad. I mean, they're very interesting to read. But anyway, I just wanted everybody to be aware. We both deal with the Oklahoma Constitution every day at work, and a lot of Oklahomans don't know or treasure it like we do. So, John, do you have any more comments for that before we take questions?
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
Well, now, one thing I want to say is that I was, as a graduate of the College of Agriculture, I was really excited that Dean Lusk could make it today. He was a very gracious host to the vice chief and I to look at their new facility a few weeks ago. It was wonderful, and I'm very happy you're here, Dean.
Who has questions? Oh, I got you, Larry. Hold on.
In one of your questions, 2 or 3, I think, down at the bottom, we're talking about the rights in the Oklahoma Constitution. And I think near the bottom, the right to health care. Given what's going on with the chance that a number of folks in Oklahoma may lose Medicaid, would you care to comment how that would happen to ensure those rights?
Well, that's a really good question, but there's 2 parts of that question that are problematic for us. One is that if it's the federal system, then that would go to the federal judges, not us state judges. But if it were to go to us state judges and we were to go to the Rotary Club and say, well, here's how we think you can fix that, then we would not be able to participate in the argument of the case when it's actually presented to us.
So, well, no, if somebody really wants us to answer it, we know you want us to recuse. So, unfortunately, we're under our ethical code. We can't pontificate on policy or politics or possible cases that might come before us.
Wow, it seems like your job is the one to have.
And we can't ask for money. So, yeah, it's awesome.
I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
I have a question. There's a book that I read that was a really good book that pertained to the Supreme Court and the appellate courts called Justice for Sale. I'm sure you might be familiar with that book.
It
talks about the scandals that occurred in the 1960s, and right now, as you know, there's a debate regarding the Judicial Nomination Commission. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you your feelings about that at all. I am curious as to what your knowledge is as to how other states handle the appointment. Right now, there's a big, as you know, a movement to make it to where our system mirrors the federal system, where the governor appoints and it's confirmed by the Senate. What are the systems that you see, or do you have any knowledge of the other states as to how they do? Do they have a Judicial Nomination Commission? Do they have a federal type system?
Well, number one, Kane and I are products of the JNC. We're pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I wouldn't want to say either way because, again, this sounds kind of cheesy, but it should be up to what the people of Oklahoma want to do and how they want to select their judiciary. My issue with that is I want the public to be educated on what judges do and who they're electing to being their judge. And that's, I think, really political right now in the federal scene, right? Like, they are making it about policy and instead of what is your judicial philosophy, what is your background, what have you decided in the past, those types of questions versus, how do you feel about X, Y, Z? It just depends on who you want interpreting the Constitution, right? So if we live in Oklahoma and Oklahomans are writing the law and John and I are interpreting that, we're going to uphold how the law is written because we're strict constructionists when it comes to statutory construction, meaning we're going to look to the meaning of the words to how the people have enacted those and not what we wish them to be. So I thank you for not making me quote comment on how I feel about the JNC. John, I don't want to talk too long, but do you want to talk about we have what's called the Missouri plan right now, but other states, that is a majority. I think it's very rare for a governor just to pluck somebody out of the sky and they're automatically there. You have that confirmation process. I think there's other elections. Maybe you can comment on that. States like Texas have elections and they are political.
Right, and I think reference to the book you spoke of, there was a scandal in the '60s where Supreme Court justices were on the take, and we've revised the system to be very careful to try to aim for the highest and best, and so we've formed. For most folks don't know what the Judicial Nominating Commission is, but it's a blue ribbon panel of people that are selected from around the state, from different walks of life, with different points of view, that are tasked with finding the 3 best candidates to be a judge, and to give those 3 best to the governor and say, pick who you think is the best of these 3. Now, in order to go through that process, you've got to give them not just your academic records and your bar records and your judicial records, if you're already a judge, but you give them your income tax records, you give them your credit history. They want to know, well, if you're in trouble with money, maybe being in a tempting spot like the judge isn't a good spot for you. So they really do a very thorough, in my experience, culling of who they're going to make one of their top 3. And I can tell you that I was selected through that process in Osage County 20 years ago. I was turned down for the Supreme Court about 17 years ago, and then I was picked in 2019. So I mean, I've been on both sides of it, both making it and not making it, and I think I understand the logic for it. And we also are not partisan. You can't put we are retained. That's the difference between us and the feds. You get on the federal bench and you're there for life. And here, we're still answerable to the people every 6 years. We had a change in office last fall. But we don't say that I am a member of Party X as a judicial candidate, because we can't be beholden to the political parties and say, well, my party put a bunch of money into my retention, I better rule in their favor. So we really do try very hard to be as above the fray as we can as a system.
I have a follow-up question to that. Who picks the panel that narrows it down to 3?
It's a combination. The governor gets to pick some. The Speaker of the House.
Governor who then picks the ones.
Right. Yeah. He can pick who's going to be a member of the panel that's going to make suggestions to him. Speaker of the House gets a say on it. The President pro tem of the Senate gets a say on it. The Oklahoma Bar Association gets to appoint representatives, and then they make it an even number, and then the members of the commission as a group select the final member.
And it can be anyone. It doesn't have to be a lawyer or anything. Just a
I'd
lay
be down
member.
for that.
Yeah.
Let me know when there's an opening.
I actually went through the JNC a couple times, but for the Court of Crims and the Supreme Court, I did get denied once when I went for a trial judge position, and then I ended up running. So I actually have been through the process of going through an election to be a trial judge in Tulsa County, and that was very eye-opening. It's fun to run a campaign when you can't ask for money, and somebody else has to do it for you. And you go to knock on a door and you say, "Hi, I'm Dana Keene, and I'm running for a trial judge in your area."
What party are you?
What party are you? I can't tell you that. What do you think about the death penalty? I can't tell you about that. What do you think about abortion? I can't tell you about that. I mean, they just look at you like you're a nut. But
Can you run on your credit score?
yeah, that's
like
it.
you have a brilliant personality?
There you go. I just say, go Pokes, and they're like, we'll vote for you. So, but yeah, no, it was a very interesting experience for me. I went to a lot of bake sales and I met a lot of people and I got to see my name on the ballot for the first time and go vote for myself. So that's pretty exciting. And now, like John said, understand your trial judges in your area in Payne County, for example, you will vote for a name and they will have someone that might be opposing them. So that's the difference for trial judges. People that make decisions about your family, your money, who's going to jail, your wills, your companies, that's your trial judges. Now, your appellate judges, as he says, retention ballot. How many of y'all know that country song, Do You Like Me? Check it, yes or no. We're a country song. So if you go on your ballot for anything an appellate level, we are retained. So you just say, yes, we like you, or no, we don't. So if you say no over a certain percentage, we're out, and the J&C process starts for the governor to replace you, which is what happened after our last election with one of our colleagues.
Okay, last question. We have time for one more. Anybody? Oh, of course. You got to be sitting all the way over there. Hold, please. Hold, please. Oh, he's going to ask you a hard one to end.
John's taking it then.
Years ago, I did read the Oklahoma Constitution, and I would classify it as a boondoggle personally. But would we be better served with a simpler Constitution?
Well, and I would say that the people have the absolute right to whatever Constitution they would like to have.
That is what you would say.
I'm not going to campaign for or against that, but I do have one final comment that I want to make, and that is when I came in the room this afternoon, up on the screen there was the rotary four-way test, and that is it the truth? Is it fair to all parties concerned? Does it promote goodwill and friendship? And is it beneficial to all parties?
Check him out. Round of applause.
And
No fine for you.
And we, as judges, we're committed to a lot of that. Now, we can't always promote friendship amongst our litigants. Now, you're going to have to go to mediation for that. Mediators actually do try to do that, where let's walk out the door in this neighbor dispute where we not only agree what we're going to happen, but maybe we won't be throwing rocks at each other anymore. But what a great four-way test. I just want to say I was very impressed by that.
Thank you. We love it. Well, thank you both for being here so much. Let's give them a round of applause. Our club believes